What was the reaction of your peers, your colleagues? I mean, Johanna, your family, Joanne, your family.
Not a chance. I remember sitting at a table with my father and some of his friends once, and I'm from Newfoundland, and we were speaking to a minister, and I was talking to him about his renovation and what he was doing in his home, and after he left, my father turned to me and said, "What'd you say that for?" And I said, "What did I say what for?" And he said, "Why'd you tell him you were a carpenter?" And I said, "Well, 'cause I am." And he said, "Why don't you do something like your sisters are doing?" And one was a cashier at a bank, and the other one was a secretary. And I said, "Dad, who's making more money?" Right? And at that time I was. So, and that's one of the reasons I got into the trades, is because as a woman, my choices back then were pretty limited. And trades were where the money was. And I also could travel. And so, you know, I've gone right across the country working in just about every province in this country. So that's been great for me.
Dan, what was the reaction? I mean, you came from a trades family, so presumably they would have been supportive.
I tended not to listen to any of those reactions usually, but I think in retrospect, along the same lines, is that most of my friends that were guided by their school principals or teachers or family did go to some form of post-secondary, whether it was marketing or sales or business and so on. And to this day, the 20 or plus of them, I still stay in contact. They kick the can and say, you know, should have got in the trades. And that's been pretty much been resounding from all of them, because they, Monday to Friday, the same office, the same walls, pushing the same paper. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings out there that does this, but you know, getting out on job sites and working gives you great variety, great opportunity, and you're not sort of trapped in those walls. And one thing that's seldom talked about, because I don't like bringing it up, certainly around my employees, is the opportunity when a project is completed, whether it's 6 months or 2 years, you can usually work with your employer or another one and get some pretty healthy time off to go skiing or whatever.
There's a theme here, don't you? Alan, if I may ask the same question of you, just to get a sense of, at that point in time, which was, what, the 40s, 30s?
Sometimes feels like it, Kevin. It was interesting. My parents were very supportive. You know, you've got a job, followed by a hopeful, and you'll be leaving soon. No, it's no. They were supportive of any work. My family is a trades background. My mom's family is the fishing industry, and it was so trade was respected. I think my father had a lot of pride in the fact that I had followed him into his occupation. He never said that, but I understand that he did. So yeah, they were very supportive. Friends, many of my friends were in the trades. It was the mid-'70s, and there was a lot of opportunity for people to move into a trade and start off. And similar to today, in that there was a shortage of tradespeople in the early to mid-'70s in BC. So the friends were supportive. A lot of school colleagues, though, the focus was on university, and there was a sense in those days that if you didn't go to university, you weren't going to be successful. You were doing the alternative.
And was the other flip side, was that if you chose the trades, it's only because you couldn't get into university?
Yeah, somewhat along that lines, yeah.
I don't want to, just a few more minutes on this notion of the perception, because it is important, because as CAF does surveys in terms of why are some young people choosing a career in the skilled trades, others aren't, it does come back to the influencers, and it does come back to the perceptions. And it's said that there are a number of myths out there about a career in the trades, and I think we all know what they are. I just throw that one up. Is there a particular myth that just really rattles you the most about a career in the trades?
Well, if I could, it's maybe not so much a myth, but it's the way I see people react to that. And an example came across not too many years ago of one of the top students in a school in the Kootenays that had an opportunity to go on to university. They were an A+ student. They had all the opportunities. They decided they wanted to be a machinist. And they went up and they actually signed up in an apprenticeship program as a machinist. And their school principal went with their parents down to the apprenticeship office to try and get that revoked. It's that reaction that bothers me, that, you know, that somehow that person, in my mind 10 years from now will probably be owning their own business and moving on into a very successful life.